Education, education, education. Welcome to Dre Talk. Roll it! Hey everyone, Harrison1 back at it once again with a brand new video for you, and welcome to Dre Talks. Funny story here, this was seriously going to be called Dre Talk, but my designer and very close gal, Marisol, when she did the thumbnail for my last video, accidentally put an S on the end. But I kind of rolled with it anyway, so it's now called Dre Talks. And in the second episode, we're playing some FIFA 13 Ultimate Team. I'm in the Real Madrid kit. I know you can't see my team, but for those who are wondering, it's a 3-5-2 BPL team. Hugo Lloris in goal, Vincent Kompany, Daniel Agger, and Chris from... Sorry, Chris? I can call him Chris. Thomas from Ireland, my three centre-backs. My two defensive mids are Yaya Toure and Ramirez. Gareth Bale on the left midfield, Theo Walcott right midfield, David Silva is attacking midfield, and Balotelli and Aguero up front. You can obviously see the opponent's team at the start of the vid. But in this episode, we're going to be talking a bit about my education. This is a question that a lot of questions have been talked about in the past to do with me and, you know, where I'm doing, like what I'm doing at university and my education and, you know, why did he do this, why did he do that, why did he change degrees, and, you know, what do you make of university, should I go? A lot of people have asked me about that, so I thought this would warrant a good Dre Talks topic. So yeah, let's give it a breakdown here. Right now, I'm a broadcast journalism student at the University of West London. That's just in Ealing, like just outside Ealing Broadway in West London, because it's like half an hour from where I am. I don't live on campus. I still live at home with my mum, my brother, and my sister. Mainly because Paragon is like our place's campus is expensive as hell, and there's no point in me moving out, and I'm like 40 minutes away from home anyway. Like seriously, what's the point? But you'd think, like, because I'm 20 years old, many of you probably would have thought, if you've come straight from sixth form, this should be your final year, right? This is actually the first year of my broadcast journalism course. I've already been to that university for 2 years previously. Now, a lot of people are wondering, why is that? How did he get there? Basically, when I was at Drayton Manor High School, my high school, again, just in Hanwell, like just outside Ealing, you know, coming towards the rich part of Ealing, you know, where there's some big houses and, you know, there's a lot of money in that area, so there was a lot of snooty kids. But when I was there, I did my GCSEs. I was hoping to do history along with business studies, chemistry, and maths. I didn't get the grades for history, which was kind of gutting. But because at my school you needed a B in English, and I was never an English kid. I was a maths guy. I love numbers from a young age, and I have no idea why. I still have like a really ridiculous obsession with maths now and again. I had a really sick like mental maths ability. Like for example, I'd just be able to work out that 81 times 9 is 729. It's just one of those kind of freaky things that I was always, you know, quite good at. But like, I came home from my GCSEs, so I did business, chemistry, maths, and ICT for my ASs. But when I got to my ASs, I'll be honest, I douched around in sixth form a lot, especially my first year. Like, when you're a sixth form student or when you're going to college, like the amount of freedom it can change your perception of school. Like, we had a giant common room, we could just sit down and chill for an hour or two and just chat to friends and do anything really. We could all just like bring our DSs into school and things like that. Because Nintendo DSs were all the rage back then. I remember this one kid called Nick Ash who always would play Mario Kart like every day on his Game Boy without fail. Beautifully nice guy though. But anyway, like I douched around. Like I wouldn't go to like subjects now and again. I'd just be in the common room doing nothing and, you know, just chilled out, didn't really revise very much. And it was a shock to the system for a lot of people when our first exam results came out and we realised, oh crap, pretty much all of us are underachieving besides the really smart ones. Now, I've always said my high school had a very elitist attitude, like, you know, what can you expect? It's one of those things where we didn't really know what we were doing at the time, and it surprised everybody when it turns out that you're not as good as you think you are. You didn't work hard, and then why are we surprised when we find out we fail? That's why so many people dropped out of Drayton like after year 12. But I tried to salvage the situation, but by that point it was already kind of too late. Everybody was racking up on retakes and things like that. They're not cheap either, which doesn't help. They're like £20 a retake, but you just got to pay it, and hope for the best. But we needed 2 Ds at AS to go on to like the A2 level, like this is the second year of sixth form, basically, year 13. I got a D, an E, and 2 U's. I got the D in business, I got an E in ICT, and I got U's in maths and chemistry. I was terrible at math. A-level just wasn't right for me. The jump in difficulty was way too high, and chemistry is one of the worst subjects ever. I don't know why I ever took chemistry. I never did triple science, which was probably just a dumb thing to do. I don't know why I took chemistry. Don't do it, people. Unless you've done triple science and you really like chemistry, don't take it at AS. Seriously. But I thought, shit, I'm a failure. I'm going to drop out of Drayton. What am I going to do now? And I showed my head of year, Mr. Kent, my A-level results. And he was like, well, Dre, you're in a bit of a pickle here, aren't you? And I was like, well, yeah, you don't say. But Jim Kent was his name. He was my head of sixth form, and he was just one of the greatest teachers I've ever had. He was a lovely guy. I had him for citizenship. And he was just such a nice person, and he always believed in me, and that was one of the greatest things I've ever had. The greatest things, just like something that wanted to bat for me. And I felt bad for a couple of my classmates because some of them did have like really bad AS grades, like similar to me, but didn't get that opportunity. But Kent kept me on because he said I did a lot for the school. I was a school council rep. I've done a lot of charity work, and he knew I was a good student. Didn't really put a foot wrong. Only the minor things like homework. I was horrible at timekeeping. That's why I was so bad at homework. But he said, you know what, you're a good kid. You deserve a second chance. Take the 2 ALS levels through and do them both next year. So I did business studies and ICT as an A2, which was a good thing because I was able to stay at Drayton and do my A2s and finish that off. But the bad side was I'm only doing 2 A-levels, so we're not talking like when you go to university and you're looking at requirements like like the really good universities who are going to have their subject requirements as like AAA or AAB or ABB. I'm sure you've heard those if you're going through the university in the UCAS process. Like when you're trying to get into university, you hear those kind of grade configurations lodged in your head. I only had 2, so all those top unis were officially out of the question. I was fighting for UCAS points, and like some of the places I really wanted to go to had like 320 UCAS points, which is like 2 A's and a C or something like that. Like Essex, for example, was 320, and London Met was just like I was at the bottom tier of like universities I could get into, and Thames Valley just seemed like an ideal place. It was literally right on my doorstep. The grade requirements weren't particularly high. Like they were asking for something like 200 UCAS points, and I got the 200 UCAS points in the end because I got an A in business studies. I knuckled down. I had to work really hard for that one, and I had like really shitty classmates. They all got on my tits, so I just did it to stick it to them, and just went in the corner, worked hard, and just did my thing. Year 13, I didn't dick around anywhere near as much, but I turned my 2Ds into an A and a C, and I got into university to do a course on business studies with finance. Yeah, so that was like 2010. Now, in case you're wondering, like, why did you do a business studies course? This is one of the biggest mistakes you can make when it comes to university. Don't do a course you're good at but don't particularly like. Seriously. If you want to go to university to do a degree, do it in something you enjoy doing. As much as I was good at business studies, like, the module and modules for it, and when I did it in university, some of them were terrible. Like, seriously. Like, one of my modules I remember was called Professional Skills for Business and Finance, and it's like, it was basically just like writing out CVs and covering letters, and writing essays on McDonaldization, and like, seriously, what is the friggin' point of this module? Like, seriously. It was just like, oh, but this is gonna set you up for stuff in the real world. And like, we were already taught that in high school, you know. And it was a really crummy course, and like organizational behavior, to just basically just being organized. And you know, business studies degrees are kind of pointless in society anyway, because no major employer is going to take you on with a business studies degree. They're just not. It's not a degree that's going to get people, you know, to hire you for jobs and things like that. It just doesn't work that way. It's great if you want to start your own business, but that's next to impossible as well in this financial climate, because we're in the middle of a recession. Banks aren't lending out money willy-nilly anymore. You know, the pound's as weak as it's ever been. It's like less than, you know, $1.50 to the pound now. So seriously, now's not the time to start a business either. So like, I stuck it out. I did a year. It didn't work out, so I had to retake that year, and then I realised, you know what? No, this course just isn't for me. Unfortunately, it was around the same time my sister was diagnosed with leukemia, which didn't help. It probably threw me off my rhythm a little bit too. But I'm not using that as any kind of excuse. I just wasn't good enough, and I didn't enjoy the course. And you know, when the grind comes along like that, it's very easy to lose motivation if you're doing something you don't particularly enjoy. So I deferred myself. I pretty much just pushed the reset button. I had a decent pair of A-levels, so I thought there's some leverage I could use here. Then I saw there was a broadcast journalism course available, and my mum realised from a younger age that I was always kind of good with media. Like, I had an interest in it, like writing and, you know, talking about sport and obviously making videos, and you know, obviously having like some of the natural traits a broadcaster might have. So I saw there was a broadcast journalism degree out there, so I thought, why not take it? You know, and it might be more to my interests. And after jumping through several legal holes and sorting out student finance, which is one of the most annoying things in the world, may I add, here we are now. Like, September 2012, I started my broadcast journalism degree, and I love it. The people on my course are great. They're passionate. They love watching a good bit of TV, and they want to go down that road. And some of them annoy me, you know, like as naturally as things tend to be. But at the same time, a lot of the people are great on that course as well. This much more suited to my interests, and that means I'm just naturally much more motivated to start working on it, because it's things I'm actually interested in, and you know, things I'm kind of curious about, like. A lot of people ask me like what a broadcast journalism degree kind of is about, and it's just learning about the elements of TV, radio, broadcasting, writing, things like that. Because you know, my first modules were like writing for journalism. Like, you learn about things like how to write a hard news story, like using the inverted pyramid, basically just putting all the most important information at the top, and it becomes, you know, less important as you go on. The 5 W's, who, what, where, when, and why. Arguably, there's a 6th W now called whoa. You know, going how about the news broadcast things these days. But I'll talk about that another time. And just generally things like that. You know, if you've ever wanted a career in media, or like, you know, whether it be journalism, broadcasting, just have an interest in being on television. You know, that's an ideal degree for you more than anything else. And I've always said this: if you're going to go to university, do something you're interested in. And you know, the better you are at sixth form and at your A-levels, the better, because the better leverage you're giving yourself. Because on UCAS forms, you're allowed to choose 5 universities. I've always said, stick 3 around your predicted grades, put 1 above and 1 below in case you do better or worse than what you're expecting. But in general, just do something you're interested in. If you're passionate about something, go out there and chase it. Like, don't do something you're good at, but you may not necessarily like or want to have a career in. It looks like, seriously, no one's going to be starting a business anytime soon, because it's hard out there to do that. It's really hard right now, especially when it comes to gathering capital. Like, I don't know why I ever wanted to do business. Now I'm doing broadcast journalism. Business just is not a decent degree. As much as probably my high school teachers would probably disagree, you know, I did what was best for me, and I think that works out on the long run. But anywho, in the meantime, let me know what you think. If you're like going through school right now, if you're going to university or in university right now, let me know what you're studying. I'd love to hear what you guys are you know, doing, what you're doing out there, what your plans are, what do you want to, what do you want to do when you're a little bit older, what's your career path. I'd love to hear. I hope you guys enjoyed my little story of how I got to this broadcast journalism degree thing. The first year's going great. I really hope I can pass and just, move on to, the second year, and hopefully it will just work out from there. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I've been Harrison101, and I will catch you guys next time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed. And yeah, sayonara.
They didn't let the heads drop. They've got the reward. Well, having scored, I don't know if the manager will take him off, but because clearly he is carrying a knockout there.
That looked painful. That's a pulled muscle, I think. Sergio Aguero. Oh, the break could be on here. There could be a chance. They like to play on the break here, but it just hasn't worked for them this time. Well, that was a chance, really, to work the ball in that wide area, but he's gone across the line, out of play. Silva. Ramirez. And the defender's been called into question, really, by this attacking build-up. Wonderful effort. And that's a brilliant goal. Well taken. They didn't look as though they could rely on the keeper today, and that's the way it's panned out.
No, he just had that look about him at the start, and I don't think he's given his defenders any confidence at all. Caps a great performance, that goal. No way back. There hasn't been for quite some time for the losing team.
Well, now we've got 5-3 on the scoreline. Santi Cazorla. Quick ball. Silva. Oh, what an opportunity! And that's called offside. A very, very tight situation. Looking to widen the play, really, widen the build-up, but the ball just runs straight out over the touchline. Final whistle from the referee. 5-3, the final score. Well, I think when the